Today we'll be doing a live review of the El Dorado 12-year-old aged rum from Dorado Distillers Limited. This is a Guyanese rum, 40% alcohol, 80 proof, chill filtered, color added. There's no sugar added in this particular bottle, though. If you get one with like a red seal right here, that is an older bottling that does have some added sugar, but this one has no added sugar. As far as I understand, this is 12 years in ex-bourbon casks, um, and yeah, that's like the most of it. Um, and of course, if you're catching us from YouTube, this is live on Twitch TV. So if you want to join us weekdays at 11 a.m., we will do more of this type of content. And we'll be rating this again out of 100. 25 points for aroma, 25 points for palate, 25 points for finish, 10 for texture, and 15 for my personal experience. And of course, this is that brand that has the giant old Port Moran double wooden pot still that is almost 300 years old, and supplied rum to the British Navy. So that's kind of a wild thing. They also have a wooden single pot still and some wooden column stills as well. Of course, there's some unique character to be had there, but this is a blend of all of the stills, I think. So I'm not going to get anything like too terribly wild in that regard. It's going to be a blend of the stills. I'm sure this is colored. It is quite deep in color. There's no sugar added, so I guess, we're following the Jamaican example that we shouldn't put sugar in here. Although a lot of plantation / plant array products still have sugar in them, among other offerings, I suppose. But I feel like there's a push to kind of be like zero dosage, but it's still around for sure. Unfortunately, I cannot go to my book and try to find something to read because this does not have rum in it. So unlucky. All we got is our own brain power. There's definitely a volatile. The volatiles coming out of the glass I can already smell. It's definitely a molasses, kind of a brown sugar character. That I kind of get just from this this distance. This music kind of got a little loud all of a sudden to me. It's really not that loud, but it's enough to distract my brains. I think it's been a while since we did any kind of new rums. We probably should do another rum here pretty soon. But the part of the problem was like I expected like between the Spirits Festival and like now for them to like have a bunch of kind of influx of new products, and that hasn't happened. Like when I bought that Plantation Barbados 2013, there was a bunch of different like sort of limited run rums around, and I kind of expected that to crop up around the same time all the like whiskey, the yearly kind of whiskey push kind of cropped up. And there hasn't been any. Like there hasn't been any new rums around. It's kind of all just like, yeah, you get your standard El Dorado offerings, get your standard like Appleton Estate offerings. There's a few things from like Mount Gay, whatever you can get out of Bacardi. But there's Florida Cana is also around, but that's kind of it. There hasn't been like any kind of limited or special releases or anything else new or interesting. And I was kind of hoping that that would happen and kind of almost waiting for that to happen. And nothing's happened. So we might just have to like grab maybe like a mid tier Florida Cana, see what that's like. And then maybe progress along the age statements. Because that's kind of all I can do kind of in my market is kind of like get the older versions. There's not a whole lot else. And we're just kind of killing some time for this to have a rest in the glass here a little bit. But when we go like over here, it's man, it's tough, you know. It's tough. There is this one Clement Agricole here, but it's kind of just there's a 15-year, there's some 15-year stuff. There's even I don't think what is that? An Appleton like the Appleton 15 isn't even in here. There's an Appleton 21. There's El Dorado 20. Like there's some age statements where we could. Oh, here's Appleton 15. Like we could place it where we could put their age statement up a little bit. This thing is heavily dosed as hell. There's some El Dorado 18 years that have some barrel finishes on them. And these things, these like really cheap, these things are on liquidation and they're in some random store not near me. So this is not, these are not actually real. But there's not a whole lot else here. Like there's some Bacardi stuff. Again, there's that Florida Cana stuff, a few things from them. But you can go younger. But that's like it. I don't have a lot of selection here. I was kind of hoping that like things would drop because it seemed like there was a lot of interesting offerings like 8 to 9 months ago. There was a good amount of stuff. And maybe it's just that the release cycle for rums is a little different. And in like 3 or 4 months, this stuff will start dropping. I don't know. But pretty much all we can do is age statement up at this point, or try these like things that are just straight sugar, which I'm sure I'm not really super opposed to straight sugar alcohol, I suppose, but it wasn't at the forefront of my selections. There was a one here that Colino showed me. It's like it's like a Cuban one. Cuban Smoky, something like that. Yeah, this thing, but it's not available near me. I kind of wanted to try this one because it's like what is this? Some kind of smoky barrel, some smoky Scotch barrel or something. Yeah, it's rum that was aged in an Isla cask, so that kind of like seemed like right in our wheelhouse. Isla cask rum. It's a Cuban rum that's Isla cask. But I can't quite get it near me. We're hoping it will show up at some point. Now, I don't know how available this is in the United States because it is a Cuban product, so that might be weird. But there's definitely this stuff available in Canada. So definitely interested in trying this. If it's in my province, but it's not like in a place near me, which is unfortunate. All right, so let's see what we get here on this very again. This is some very richly colored, and I feel like rums really don't. I mean, they are aged, I suppose, in a climate that is quite warm, but I have that ex bourbon, ex sherry cask rum I need to try. Which brand was that? Did you tell me? I can't remember. I feel like you told me, but um, oh right, yeah, that one. Yeah, that one looks like it could be pretty good. Brugal, yeah. It's like a higher end Brugal offering, yeah. Right off the gate, it's kind of like got a sweet butterscotch sort of note. There's a little bit of that kind of like lemon zestiness. Yeah, definitely like lemon zest. That kind of like lemon zest, lemon pledge. Um, Kind of like Guyanese funk, is what I'm told. Is like this is like kind of what this thing is. Kind of like actually, it's interesting as this has kind of received oxygen in the bottle. That sort of lemony funk note is more and more every time I go back to this. It feels like it's louder to me, and it's kind of like almost par for par with that kind of like rotting cabbage. What we get from the Appleton estate. This like lemony, lemon rind, lemon pledge, chemically lemon flavor aroma. Um, Seems like it's the Guyanese version of that rotting cabbage note. It's like more and more clear every time. I feel like I go back to this bottle. There's a little bit of that weird lemon funk, but there's not a whole lot else going on here. It is kind of butterscotch, lemon funk, um, maybe some oak in there. Yeah, there's some wood. There's some wood impact, but that's like it, man. There's a note that I would describe as like barrel char, but you could go for charcoal too. I don't know if this gets charcoal filtered. I don't think so, but um, there is kind of a charcoal kind of thing. My initial impression was kind of more barrel char, but now that I'm talking myself into charcoal, I think it's probably accurate. But there's nothing wholly like fruity or anything going on there. All right, on the palate. Cheers. Mostly kind of just that rich molasses character. finish is like maybe medium minus, short plus rum. And again, it's kind of like that molasses character with some oak, uh, barrel impact kind of woody note with it. Some butterscotch in the kind of like late stages. And I think, if memory serves me right, the molasses character in this is just not as deep and as low and as robust as you get out of the Appleton of the similar age statement. But I think it's still like molasses is the like main character. Some like white refined sugar or like sugar cube. I guess like a sugar cube and white sugar is like the same thing, but when I smell this, I think of like as you put a spoonful of sugar in your coffee or something like that, for example. That real like sugar cube is like an alternative, I suppose, to that. I think of sugar cubes in your coffee. And that's something that's like a little bit interesting. It's to me it's very specific that it is like that, um, not like powdered sugar, but just your plain old Jane, red path, white sugar, sugar cube. And usually that sugar note comes across closer to like a brown sugar. But in this case, I think it's pretty clear for my personal flavor uh, recall that it's white, just plain white sugar. But that's pretty much the only new development there. Still on the lemon pledge, lemon chemical, still on the molasses butterscotch. I find the palate quite oaky, quite woody. Like my initial impressions of the palate are like all like kind of barrely, kind of woody. Then grows the molasses character into the finish, kind of more molasses, some butterscotch, some more oak. Not super deep. The kind of lemony character, that lemon zest that you get on the nose, that funk, is not really super detectable on the palate. Um, See if we can hunt for that, but that's pretty much what I got right now. That's the profile I'm getting. It'd be interesting to see, kind of as this goes up in age statement, how it appreciates that extra time. Because there's twofold, right? Yeah, you're going to get some extra age on here, so it's probably going to be more on the wood, more on the cask influence, and maybe more tuned down in other more distillate based elements. But also, you have to remember that just because it's a whole older in age statement doesn't necessarily mean that it's just the same stuff but older. Um, Typically, they'll be more selective with the barrels as they age. So, a higher age statement thing, a lot of times the barrels for that will be a little bit more selective. So, you might get a little bit of a higher quality picks out of that too. But I'm sure these guys are making so much rum that it's pretty industrial. It's not going to be like, very hand selected, I imagine. But um, they'll probably want to save kind of like their better barrels for their higher and higher age statements so that people feel like it's worth the premium. I'm trying to find like maybe a vanilla, um, like a spice. And it's not really gracing me with that today. Those are the kind of things you might expect from the bourbon barrel, right? Try to get that bit of a vanilla hit, some spiciness. Right now, it's kind of just that lemony pledge, white sugar, butterscotch, molasses. The sweetness is so thick, there may be making that vanilla character hard to find if it's there. And yeah, palate still again more woody, molasses, butterscotch. It's all the same. It's not developing any kind of like hunting in there. Try to see if I can taste something else, but really just not getting much development with this. So we're gonna focus on the aroma. The 25. Man, I want to do better for you, but I'm gonna call it 12. 12 to 25. I kind of like that lemony zest kind of character, but the intensities of the aroma is just so low, feels like. I'm really trying to hunt to try to find things. There's not a lot of obvious characteristics. Um, I think it's just, it's 80 proof. It's 40% alcohol. It's diluted. Um, we're having a hard time really getting some pure flavor out of that. We're really hunting around. All right, I'm gonna focus on the palate. Yeah, again, it's woody. It's rich molasses, um, butterscotch. No sign of like lemony pledge. No sign of like vanillas or Spiciness really is not there. Um, I mean, so there's a few things going on. It's not the worst palette. I'll call it 13. I'm not impressed by it, but it's okay. All right, now we're going to focus on the finish. Not terribly long. I'm going to preamble this with a short plus kind of length. But we're really going to focus on it right now and see how we feel. Trying to make an accurate assessment here. I will say, one of the things too, and it's not youthful because we're talking about a 12-year age statement, but the ethanol is very detectable for this being 80 proof at rested this long. That ethanol is very detectable. It's kind of unfortunate, really. Finish. Starts you off with some deep molasses character. Move into some butterscotch. The barrel kind of arrives. That butterscotch molasses is lingering. And then it's kind of about gone. Short plus might be a little unfair. We'll call it medium minus. Oops, sorry about that. Bop. It's probably about the same as a palette. We'll call it like 13. Although I'll say this, that I got a little bit of a burp, and I got the lemony pledge on the burp, but not anywhere else other than the aroma. So that's kind of a little odd, but the new Kentucky Chew. Oh shit. The Guyanese regurgitation. All right, we're gonna talk about texture. Actually, haven't been paying attention to texture at all. So that being said, I don't have much hope for this. Probably just didn't notice it was so unremarkable. Give it a 2 for texture. It's pretty thin. It's not thin in flavor though. Like the flavor is actually pretty reasonable and pretty expressive for this proof point, but the actual physical mouthfeel is very watery. You're drinking. Oh, we're doing a live review of the Dorado, 12-year-old Guyanese rum. I'm kind of near the finish line here. Getting in there with that. So out of 15, let's talk about my overall experience. Um, yeah, again, I do mostly whiskeys and mostly Scotch within whiskey, but I'm open to like everything, right? It's just the unfortunate reality is like there's not a lot of like really high quality rums in my market, but we're exploring kind of like what we have access to. I do need to like buy maybe some higher age statement rums. I do have some access to some bigger brand high age statement rums. So we could try some of those 15 year, some 18 year, some 21 year aged rums, but that's pretty much all I can get my hands on. But yeah, we'd like to do some more rums in the future. It's definitely like a category I need to expand on a little bit. So this particular rum, mouthfeel is lacking. The aroma's got that interesting lemony rind, lemon pledge, lemon funk thing going on. I do kind of like that added layer. But aside from that, it's still just all the sweet notes with some wood. The palate is all some sweet notes with some wood. The finish is all the sweet notes and some wood. It's very kind of like there is a couple additional notes on the aroma, but it's very kind of like homogeneous in that way. It's like kind of like what is the nose is the palate is the finish. You get butterscotch, oak, molasses. So not a lot of great, interesting things to try to pick out of this. Tried to pick some more out of that. Didn't really get much. No real development. So the reality of the situation is, except for like a little bit of a lemon funk, there's not much going for this. Why would I drink this over any other rum? And that's kind of what we try to get at with this particular category, you know, out of my personal experience. Why would I pick this rum out of any rum? What is this doing that should make me want to grab for this bottle? And the only thing it's got is weird lemony pledge note, and that's not really a great pull, if I'm being honest. So it's quite forgettable in that way, in my opinion. I'll call this a 3 out of 15, frankly. 3 out of 15. It's quite a forgettable. It is a forgettable rum. So let's see. Harsh, yeah. Well, you know, we're just being honest. 12, 13, 13, and 2, and 5 is 45. 45 out of 100. We call this okay. It's an okay rum. It's okay.